Afternoon, everyone. My name is Mensah Alkebu-Lan. I'm a software engineer at Universal Equations. Today, we're going to discuss some of the basic, fundamental front-end technologies for web development. We're going to follow loosely Jessica Chan's article that she put on freecodecamp.org. That's essentially trying to build a roadmap for web developers. I just say in general that the freecodecamp.org site is a good site to get basics on web development, DevOps, etc. Hopefully, we'll be able to, get through this and eventually get on to some more of the more modern JavaScript frameworks like Vue and React, etc. So essentially, we begin with the question of what is web development. And to be honest, I really can't, beyond just the Webster definition, I can't really do much for you in that regard. I think the best way for me, the way I evolved over the years, essentially, is to start with those fundamental technologies and just try to build from there. I mean, outside of just deploying an application and having that functionality available for end users through a browser. Beyond that, I can't really give you a better definition than that, but it's bigger than that, honestly, especially now. Now, we're going to use an IDE. That IDE is Visual Code. You can get that at code.visualstudio.com. So that's the IDE we're going to use. Obviously, you have Sublime and others. So make sure, or Atom, a couple others too. But make sure you get you one that you're comfortable with. We probably will not use Visual Code for the back end stuff once we get to that. But yeah, go. You can get on any operating system, whether it be Windows, Linux, whether it be Macs. It should be able to download that. It should be pretty easy. Front end versus back end. Now, Jessica, she gave a pretty good visual for that. Essentially, I mean, you go into stores, whether it's restaurants. I go to Liz, I get baseball caps. You go in there. Everything you see as a customer, we can loosely define that as a front end. If you can kind of use that analog for websites. And there's the part where only the employees go, the employees only section, where they have inventory and where the employees clock in and clock out and stuff like that. We consider that the back end. And the business owner generally doesn't want the customers to see that, for obvious reasons. So outside of that, that's probably the best definition I can give you of what the front end is. So now let's go to the technologies. The basics, there's three: HTML, hypertext markup language. Don't worry about that word. We don't use it. We use HTML. There's CSS, the cascading style sheets. That's what we use to style the HTML. And what we'll probably spend the most focus on is the JavaScript. And that's a programming language used for the web, for the DOM, the document object model. But it's a programming language for the web. Now, what you will see, if we can get to the more modern JavaScript libraries, is that the HTML, which is the file type that is rendered in your browser, web developers generally don't write nearly as much of that as we used to, the raw HTML. A lot of that is taken care of by the JavaScript, and when we get into the JavaScript, we'll see why we find that to be beneficial. That we don't have to write as much raw HTML. We can render web components via our JavaScript, whether we're using React DOM or depending on whatever library that we're using. CSS generally gets kicked to the back, but that's pretty important to give a more sensational web user experience, whether it's animations, colors, gridding, responsive web development, which deals with mobile, being able to render your website on a mobile device. Yes, a lot of times that gets kicked to the back. But again, a lot of our focus will probably be on the JavaScript frameworks. So hopefully you get a chance. When you get a chance, go ahead and download your IDE. Like I said, we're using the Visual Code. And we'll kind of just take it from there. Peace.